Okay, so you went to Tesla and you bought yourself a motorized charge port door. This is the one that has a motorized open and close function. There's the part number, and you say, how the hell am I going to get that on? So what you're going to do is, part of it is take off the taillight. I dug myself through the back there and I took out the high voltage assembly, and then I got to it and I realized that it's actually bolted to the taillight. So I think if you bought the taillight, it won't come with this, because the motor itself cost me, I think, just under $200. And then if you were to buy the taillight, that's another cost. So I think what they'll do is, if you buy the taillight, you get a taillight. If you buy the motor, you get the motor. Because I was able to just purchase the single motor. I've been getting the charge port sensor errors. The thing won't open. The light won't turn on. But yeah, now it looks like we just got a couple of torque screws in the back. That one connector does route to the high voltage assembly. It goes in the bottom right in there. So you don't take stuff off of the high voltage system, you do it from the tail lamp assembly, which I did not know. So there you go. 2015 Model S, Tesla Model S, having the charge port not open, getting charge port sensor faults, getting the charge port not ready, the light won't turn on. It's the old, like I said, 2015 with the vertical screens. I'm not sure if they're all the same or not, but this one here has been given me charging disabled. So these are some of the faults that I got after I replaced it. Originally I was getting a lot of these charge port sensor faults. I'd go to push the button, the light wouldn't turn white, or it'd be charging, I'd push the button and then it wouldn't release. I'd get in the car, lock the car, it would show that the charge port was open. Every time I locked the car, the charge port would open up. It was just really annoying, because I'd go to the charging screen and I try to I'd do the open charge port, and then it would go to the it would never give me the unlock button. So I had to kind of have to play with my phone outside the door. And I know I've seen a lot of other older Model S people doing the same thing. I think it's probably a system, a model-wide problem. If you have one of these older Teslas with my friends call it the catfish mouth, you're probably going to have door sensor faults. And I think it's just because the early models, Tesla, still trying to figure things out. Mine is already replaced, so that's why I'm making this video. If you do have that fault, and if you are getting those problems, having those problems with the light doesn't turn on, you can go down to the Tesla service center, they're not dealerships, and pick up a new door. My guess is that water got into the motor here and it's causing a sensor fault. There might be a micro switch in there. Once this thing flips open, the micro switch is probably not detecting. I'll open this up and see if I can replace that and see if that does anything, if I see any faults for that. Procedure for changing this. So I thought that everything was done through the inside. I thought everything was done here. Pull down the carpet, you have to remove some plastic panels, you have to pull up your door gasket, which is a little unfortunate that they glue it, so you kind of have to ruin that. You're gonna need about a 12-inch extension to get to your tail light screws. You're saying tail light, why you need a tail light? I did not realize that this panel is actually bolted to the back of the tail light. So on the back of this tail light here, there are 3 T25 screws that hold the entire motor assembly. There's not much to it, but you got to get to those screws back there, and you cannot get through it from the inside. So you will be having to remove the tail light. And behind these pieces of tape, do not destroy your tape. These pieces of butyl Dynamat tape are for sound suppression, but they also have rubber on them to prevent any moisture from coming into your trunk. So peel those off carefully. There's going to be an 8mm bolt way in the back that reaches all the way back here. I recommend that before you get started, you find yourself a magnet that is on a swivel, something similar to this, like a wire magnet. because if you drop that nut in there, good luck fishing that out without that magnet. There's two patches you got to remove. So there's three total nuts for the tail light, and then there's a harness that is accessible once the tail light is out. Once you have the tail light out, then you can go ahead and take off the T25s, the T25 screwdriver. T20 screwdriver. Change that out. Now the problem with doing that is, if you're not mechanically inclined, it's a bit difficult to get into the trunk and into those corners. After you've put in the tail light, after you've put in the connector. There was another problem I had where the car recognized that I had unplugged the door and the charge port. So it gave me a fault for, where's it at? Service. It gave me a fault saying that it was unable to charge. Charging is disabled. Unable to charge, service required. And that's because it recognized me removing that charge port. So I was not able to, I couldn't open the latch. Where's that? Charging. I couldn't select open latch. I couldn't unlock. I couldn't do anything. And then I had another message up here that had a message that said the charging was disabled. And I thought, well, I know everything's working. It's a brand new unit. And I thought maybe if I can just get it to read. So what I did was, I forced the door open here by pushing on the corner, and then I had my charge cable ready here, and then I did a manual release on that button. So if you ever have a condition where your car will not unlock for you, there is a lever right there. Now this is a model that has power open and power closed. My wife's Model S doesn't have power close, and it's supposed to be a little wire or some kind of supposed to be like a pull cord. These Model S's with the power open, power close, that little lever right there, you're gonna push that forward, and that manually unlocks the latch mechanism. So once it opened for me, I noticed that the little, when that latch was down, this was red, but I stuck the charge cable in there anyway, and it told me that charging was disabled. So then I manually unlocked it again. I removed the charge cable, and when I did that, the door closed on its own. So then I tried using the push button, and the door opened. So I thought maybe it's awake and maybe it's calibrated, because I went into service mode and there was no way for me to do a door calibration. But now all the functions seem to be working. I plug it in, it turns green, the lights are on. The lights had stopped working. I plug it to stop, it unlocks, and the door should close. Yeah, it's we're in business. So it took me about an hour just because I didn't know what I was doing, but hopefully with this video you guys know and have a way better idea of how to get this done. Also, another tip before you put back all your trim, don't forget to plug in your light, because it won't illuminate if you don't plug it in.